All right, well, it was good to get back to work today. I think the players having a couple days off probably was a good thing for them, good for their recovery. Had pretty good energy today. As I said yesterday when I met with you guys, that the focus is on improvement, what we need to do collectively as groups on offense, defense, and special teams to try to improve in areas that we feel like we could do better. And also as individual players relative to some of the technique things that may help them be able to play a little more consistently and a little bit better. So the teams that we have coming up on our schedule are certainly some of the best teams that we played and probably the best teams in our division this particular year. So I think we need to be at our best when we come out of this week and get ready for next week. So we had a good work day today. Players had good energy, and we got a lot done.
Start things in the middle with Chris Walsh.
I want to ask you about grading players out, specifically your corners, and how much of it is when you grade them is on technique and assignment, and does, you know, if a player gets a reception, if that even factors into it, and how these guys are doing?
Well, I think when you grade a player, you grade him on two things. You know, you want to grade him on did he get his job done, and then the second thing is did he do it technically the best way he could have done it, so that it would help him be more consistent, consistently successful in how he does it. And then there's a third portion of that, I guess, is when guys make mental errors and don't cover the right guy or play the wrong technique or play the wrong coverage. You know, those things are catastrophic in terms of what the consequences can be. Because in the secondary, if everybody plays it wrong, it's right, because at least you played the same coverage. Might have not been what you wanted to play. But when one guy plays one thing and somebody else plays something else, that's when you really get two guys in the middle of the field, nobody in the flat, or two guys in the flat, nobody in the middle of the field, and those things can be catastrophic in terms of the consequences. So those are the three areas. And then we have a production, you know, sort of, you know, guys that make plays, defend passes, bat balls down, cause fumbles, recovered fumbles, how many tackles you get. But then there's also consequences on the other side of that. When you make mental errors and miss tackles and loaf and do those types of things, you get negative points. So production points, I think, speak a lot in volumes of players, because when they get production points, they're usually doing things correctly. They're doing things with high intensity and energy, and they're usually making plays because of it.
Sort of a two-parter. How will you address the punt return issues in the bye week? And we've seen Minka taking some reps there, and he told us last month that he takes reps there. Is he an option back there going forward?
Minka does take reps at punt return. Not something that he's done since we've been here, but I think he's very capable of doing it. I think what we'll do at that position is evaluate this week. I think that, look, all three guys are very capable. Trayvon Diggs did a good job of doing it for a long time. Ruggs is very explosive. But the thing about it is when guys sort of don't have success, what is their confidence level? How comfortable are they? Judgment is really important, and ball security is important. Xavier is very explosive, made a great return in the game on Saturday, but ball security is also very important. So we're going to evaluate that through the course of the week and sort of try to figure out who we feel can do the best job there, and certainly put that person in there to do it when we come to the next game.
You've talked a couple times about how good the SEC teams you got remaining on the schedule. Is that, I don't know how much you've studied those teams. I don't know how, the off week. Have you looked at any of those teams?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your impression, and how does it help the focus of your guys, knowing that they still got some tough obstacles to overcome?
Well, I hope the focus is good. I hope they realize and respect the opponents that they have. I hope they've realized and respected every opponent that we have, and I think that we want the players to take ownership and be responsible to play at a high standard of effort, a high standard of toughness, a high standard of being responsible to do their job. I think that's what can make our units better, and I think that's what can be most beneficial to them in terms of their consistency and the success that they have as players. We take this time and look at the last, especially 3 SEC games that we have a little bit. We hadn't looked at those teams that much prior to this, but we always use the bye week to do that, so we're in the process of doing that right now. And each day we give them a little bit of something that's different that we haven't seen all year that they might have to adjust to, so maybe we have a little better understanding of it when the game week comes.
Come back over on this side with Charlie.
Just what have you seen from Mack Wilson this season, especially of late, being in the middle of your dime package on defense?
Mack has done a nice job all year long. I think Mack was a guy that we had zeroed in to be this dime guy, the dime Mack, but when we lost the players early on, 3 guys, Rashawn and the 2 outside backers in the Florida State game, we had to move Mack from that position to Buck to take Rashawn's place, which he did for a few weeks. Then Rashawn wasn't 100% right when he came back, so he stayed there for a while. So since we've moved him back to Mack and he's been able to take his repetitions there, he's been very, very productive. He's very athletic. He's a good blitzer. He's a good cover guy. He's got really good instincts. So all these things, I think, can be helpful to us. And he's done a really good job.
Come back in the middle with Michael.
We saw Vandarius Cowan for the first time in the season the other day. How's he improved, and what's his future like?
Well, I can't really tell you what his future's like. He's worked really hard, given a lot of effort, been very productive on the scout team. We decided that we would go ahead and play him and coach him and try to develop him because of our situation in outside linebacker. How much he plays and how much he can contribute will be relative to how fast he gets to the point where he can play winning football. And because we're going to play against some teams that will be in regular formations and we'll have to play regular people, we thought that we would need him, especially in this next game coming up against LSU.
Go back over here with Cecil.
Coach, since it's an off week, I thought I'd ask, how has your recruiting schedule changed with a December signing period looking at you? Has it changed at all? How is that going to affect you? I know you have kids come in on visits, but do you have to do more calling, more work during the week? How has that changed?
Well, first off, it's been something that has been hard to sort of figure out, to be honest with you, because back in the summertime, we tried to figure out through information gathering through prospects, were you going to be an early signing guy? What's your plan? Or will you go till the February signing date like always? And it was very difficult because a lot of players really weren't ready to make a commitment to that. They hadn't decided what they were going to do. So we have worked very hard at recruiting throughout the year. Got a pretty good start on it, I think. But we really have sort of tried to leave it up to each individual prospect, and we haven't tried to put pressure on guys to be early signing guys. We haven't tried to talk guys into waiting until February. So I guess we're playing it by ear with each prospect. So because of the timetable, if we have one, then we want the guy to visit earlier, might want him to visit in the season. Have we had more guys visit this season during the season than in past years? It's been pretty much the same so far. So I don't really see a significant difference in how the recruits themselves are managed in this circumstance. I don't know for sure if high school coaches are trying to maybe get those players to focus on their season and not be as concerned about when they decide where they're going to go. And probably each coach is different. I can't really tell you, but it doesn't seem like there's a big difference in how we recruited in the past. From a prospect's standpoint,
I was wondering, what have you seen from Josh Jacobs from a maturity standpoint? We've got to see him a couple times. He seems like a really composed kid. Just what have you?
Josh has done a very good job. Obviously, he's had to overcome an injury earlier in the season with his hamstring. Was very good about the due diligence he had to go through to rehab that and get back to where he's played really, really well for us the last few weeks. Now he's got a little ankle injury that's going to keep him out for a few days here, but hopefully he'll be okay and be back and ready to roll next week. But Josh is just a very industrious team guy that will do anything to help the team. Whatever his role is, he embraces it, plays hard all the time, very instinctive, very quick, and is a really good change of pace guy for us relative to the other players and how he complements them. So I've been very, very pleased with how he's progressed and what he's been able to do for us this year. And he's had some obstacles to overcome, but he's done a really good job of doing that.
Back left with Reiner.
The Patriots last year took a similar tack with that you guys have with the kickoffs, refraining from kicking, touchbacks or going for the touchback and maybe kicking it a little bit shorter to induce a return.
Whoever said we did that? I don't ever recall saying that we're not trying to kick the ball in the end zone. I'm happy every time the guy kicks the ball in the end zone. So, we've had to cover quite a few, and we've done a pretty good job of covering them, so I'm happy with the coverage as well, but did I say that?
I don't remember that.
Did I?
On that end, though, it seems that you guys, have kicked it a little bit short, but going, as far as
not intentionally.
Okay, not intentionally.
But you can go ahead and ask the question. Even though it's sort of
basically,
one of those we're kind of pulling out of the sky here because, look, I'm happy every time the guy kicks the ball out the end zone. I'm happy with the way our guys cover, and I got a lot of confidence in it, and we've had a lot of tackles inside the 20. So our drive start for kickoff coverage has been very good. And sometimes it's probably been better when we haven't kicked it in the end zone. But there's also always the threat that they can make an explosive play if you don't get great coverage. So we're not the New England Patriots, and we're not taking the tack of trying to kick the ball short so we can get better field position.
Going back with Scott. A few more here.
Nick, since you're an old quarterback, I think it's interesting you put Jalen back in last year right when he fumbled against USC, did the same thing with Tua. You said it's about confidence. Is it also about seeing how they respond to adversity, but also anything from your background, having been a quarterback, that makes you think they need to get back out there as opposed to another position like a linebacker that makes a mistake or something?
Well, I think it's important that you show confidence in players. And just because a guy makes a mistake, I thought the guy played really good driving the ball down the field to get to where we were at the 5-yard line. And he did make a mistake, but I think all the above are important. I think it's important from our standpoint that we show confidence in the guy, and he doesn't have to feel like if he makes one mistake he's going to get yanked out of the game. I think it's also important to see how a guy responds to a circumstance in a situation like that, which I think he did a very good job of. But he's only going to have an opportunity to do that if you give him a chance to do it. So, he played well in the game, and it's unfortunate that they got a touchdown on an interception and a 100-yard return, but it's a good learning experience for him, and hopefully it won't happen again.
This is one of those years where there's only one bye week. Do you think there'd be any good trade-off to make the season a week longer and have 2 bye weeks during the year, or is that a bad trade-off?
Well, I think it's going down that road. It seems like everybody wants to have a 14-week season where you have 2 bye weeks. I personally think that making the season longer is not in the best interest of the players. We've played 15 games here 2 years in a row. And that's a lot of football for a college guy to play. It's like Miss Terry tells me all the time, these guys have to go to school, they have a family, they probably have a girlfriend, they have other responsibilities and things that they need to do and take care of, which have a priority, and we just keep making the season longer. We want to add more playoff games. We want to extend the playoff games longer. So the season is really long. So when you play 15 games in a college season, you're basically playing the same as 17 or 18 games relative to the number of times that you have to practice. So if we have bye weeks, we're still going to have to practice, and the players are going to have to practice, because I don't think that college players could take a whole week off and that not have a significant impact on how they perform and how they play.
Just wondering how you've seen Ruggs, Smith, and Judy develop as blockers and also grasping the playbook from week to week.
They're doing a good job. I think they're playing with a little more toughness. They're trying to be physical. I think the older guys on the team that are receivers have set a good example for those guys and have really done a good job of helping bring those guys along with their leadership and the example that they set for them. And their production sort of bears that out. So we're very pleased with the way they've responded and the way they've improved and the way they've played.
A couple of Calvin Ridley questions for you, Coach. One, how good of a blocker is he? And secondly, how commonly are you seeing defenses cheat a safety in his direction, roll the coverage in his direction, maybe in a way that helps you get the ball to somebody else somewhere else on the field?
Well, there are teams that will do that. There are teams that did it. Tennessee did it a couple times in a game. I think the quarterback has to take the advantage of the opportunity and read that and get to the other receivers, which at times we've done a good job of, and at times we could do better. So, but Calvin plays with toughness. He certainly goes about. He's not the most physical guy in the world because he's not the biggest guy, but he plays with a lot of toughness, and he'll go in there and try to block people and be physical. So we have no issues and problems with the toughness and how physical he tries to play. All right, thank you.